Shalom, shalom, YHWH. This is NathanelBenYsrael again, coming with another video. First, all honor and praise be to the Most High. Hallelujah. In this video, I would like to go over the making of Tzitzits, the reasoning of why they're made the way that they're made, and just some of the statutes behind that. So in this video, I'd like to start off with going straight to the book of Numbers, and I'll go to Numbers chapter 15. And I will be reading from the 37th through the 41st verse. And it says, YHWH said to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them that they shall make themselves tzitzits on the corner of their garments throughout their generations, and they shall place upon the tzitzits of each corner a thread of blue. It shall constitute tzitzit for you, that you may see it and remember all the commandments of YHWH and perform them, and not explore after your heart and after your eyes, after which you stray, so that you may remember and perform all my commandments and be set apart to your Elohim. I am YHWH, your Elohim, who has removed you from the land of Mitzrayim to be an Elohim unto you. I am YHWH, your Elohim. So we see from this verse that we know from the commandment of Tzitzits that they should have a thread of blue, and that we should have them on the corners of our garments. We know that. Now, the word here in this verse that's used when most translations, it might say fringes, but in the Hebrew, it does say tzitzit. Now, this is interesting because in the book of Ezekiel, and I'll go there just for reference point, Ezekiel, the 8th chapter, and the 3rd verse, it states, Then he stretched forth the form of a hand and took me by a lock of my head, and a wind carried me between the earth and the heavens and brought me to Jerusalem in divine visions, to the entrance of the inner gate that faces northward, where the seat of the provocation, image of provocation, stood. So the word here that's referred to as lock, for the lock of his hair, the word used in the Hebrew is tzitzit. So from this, we're able to understand that the tzitzits are supposed to have a free hanging threads like locks. So we understand that about the tzitzits. So next I will go to the book of Deuteronomy, where it also mentions this mitzvah. And I will be going to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 22, and I will be reading the 12th verse. And it states, You shall make for yourselves twisted threads on the four corners of your garment with which you cover yourself. So this verse is also very key because it states twisted threads. I know other people's translations, it might say tassels or what have you. The word here that's used in the Hebrew is gedelim, which does mean twisted threads. So we do understand from this also that the tzitzit should have a braided portion. So we have Numbers saying that it should have a free hanging portion, and we have Deuteronomy, which is saying that it should have a braided portion. Okay. Now, something else dealing with tzitzits and the book of Deuteronomy, the verse I just read, when it said four corners, it said arba kanafot, arba kanafot, arba being four, kanafot being corners, edges, borders, or wings. Granted, in the context of what we're reading, we know that it's not talking about wings, but it's talking about corners. Now, most shirts that people might have, pretty much the standard shirts that they make, have a rounded bottom. So that's not a four-cornered garment. But a four-cornered garment, which I'll use here as an example, is a Tallit Katan. Now, a Tallit Katan, as you can see here, has a slit on the side and that makes it have 4 corners. Now, Tallit Katans, and you spell Tallit Katan, TALLIT and Tallit Katans are fairly inexpensive, and also most Tallit Katans that you buy, they'll be coming from a Jewish website of some sort, or if you're in a place like New York or what have you. I know I got mine when I was in New York, so I was able to go to a store, but they do sell them online. Now when you get them, they'll already come, as you can see, this hole right here, they'll already come with Tzitzits in them. Now granted, we know that Jewish people oftentimes have all white Tzitzits, and that doesn't include the tekelet thread. So what I would suggest doing is to cut those Tzitzits out, and I did the decency of burying them as opposed to throwing them away in the trash, just out of respect, still burying them back into the earth, and then getting a hole put there in the bottom so that I can weave my own Tzitzits through in the morning when I'm about to put mine on. So something else dealing with Tzitzits. Now, they have to be on a 4-cornered garment to get to fulfill the fullness of the Mitzwa. They should be on the 4-cornered garment. Now, granted, with all keeping of our Torah, there is stepping stones. I know people aren't going to be able to just go out and just buy 4 or 5 Tallit Katans and use them throughout the week. So some things that people can do, if they have a regular undershirt that they don't mind cutting up, to cut 2 slits on each side, so then that would make it have 4 corners. If somebody doesn't want to do that, just attach them to your rounded shirt bottom in whatever way that you deem necessary. Just understand it's not a 4-cornered garment because it has a rounded bottom. There's no 4 corners when it's a rounded bottom, just to be understood. Now, when it comes to the making of Tzitzits, which I'll get to, and I'm going to make one Tzitzit for you all so that you can see how they're made and what have you. Now, Tzitzits can be made of a variety of fabrics. The 3 main ones that I would suggest, either wool, linen, or cotton. When it comes to a wool Tzitzit or a linen Tzitzit, you can wear those Tzitzits on any fabric garment. Now, when it comes to cotton Tzitzits, you should only wear those with a cotton katan or a cotton shirt, whatever that you're attaching it to. So something else dealing with Tzitzits and why they're made like they're made. Now, I have an example of a Tzitzit right here. As you can see. Now, why they're made like this. The word Tzitzit is spelled with a Zadai, a Yud, a Zadai, and a Tav. Now, when you give it the extended spelling, because we do know that it's pronounced Tzitzit, you would spell it with a Zadai, a Yud, a Zadai, a Yud, and a Tav. Now, numerically, that adds up to 600. And when you look at this Tzitzit, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 knots, and if you count the white strands, there's 8 white strands hanging. So that equals up to 13. Adding that together, 613, which is how many commandments are in the Torah. So that's why they're made like this, is because it's reminiscent, as we know from the book of Numbers, to remember the commandments of the Most High. So this right here is 613. You're wearing 613 on you when you wear this, wearing the commandments. So I will get into the differences of how they're made, and actually I can use this one as an example. as you can see, there's different bindings of the blue around the tzitzit. Now, there's different traditions around the making of them. You have the Sephardic tradition, which they will bind it with 10, 5, 6, 5, which adds up to 26, which is the same numeric value as the Most High's name, YHWH. Or you have the Ashkenazi tradition, which is bound 13, 11, 8, 7, which adds up to 39, and that is reminiscent of YHWH Echad, Echad being one. So when we say the Shema every morning, Shema Yisrael, YHWH Elohenu, YHWH Echad. YHWH Echad, YHWH is one, has a numeric value of 39, which is why that blue thread is bound 13, 11, 8, 7 to equal 39 for that. Granted, I know some people might have angst because, it's the Ashkenazi tradition, or this, that, and the third. But come on, Israel, let's look past it and look at the meaning of why we're doing things. The meaning behind why they're made like this, why they're bound like this. There's a reasoning behind stuff, so we have to be able to look back and not hold animosity. So now that I've given the explanation, I will make one tzitzit for you all, so that you can understand how to make them, and you can make them in your own base. You can make them wherever you are. Another side point that I wanted to mention, tzitzits are only to be worn by men. Women are not commanded to wear tzitzits. So I just wanted to note that as well. So before I begin making the tzitzit, just so that you know the measurements, you should cut 4 white strands 50 inches. So you're cutting 4 white strands 50 inches, and that's per tzitzit. So when you're making a set, that would be 16 tzitzit, or 16 white strands that you're cutting at the measurement of 50 inches. And then the blue strand you will cut at the measurement of 65 inches. Generally, I like to cut mine between 65 and 68 just to give myself a little wiggle room when making them, because after you finish making them, they're gonna, and I'll give you an example. Here's one that I've made, and as you can, this is before I've actually cut it, so it's still very, very long, and the strings are not, the measured out that they should be, but this is what it's gonna look like before you actually then cut it and get the measurements right. So, and before you begin making your tzitzits, you should say the petition of intent behind you making the tzitzits. And the petition of intent, which I'll say in Hebrew, I'll tell you what it means in English, and I will make sure that it's in the description box for you all to say and be able to see. And that petition is Baruch atah YHWH Elohenu Melek ha'olam asher Kidshanu b'mitzvotau v'tzivanu al Mitzwat Tzitzit, which means, benevolent are you, YHWH, our Elohim, King of the universe, who has sanctified us through his commandments and has commanded us in regard to the commandments of the Tzitzit, or the Tzitzit, being in plural. So give me 1 second so I can set up this camera so you can see my workspace. Alright, so what you'll need to make your, Alright, what you'll need to make your tzitzits is, just any piece of wood and 2 nails that you should measure roughly 2 inches between. So what you'll do is You'll take these around. And I know it's off camera, so you can't see where I'm at with this, but you want to pull it so that the white strands are equal, because before I began wrapping it, as you can see, I measured the blue, or put the blue to be at the same length of the white, but the other side of the blue, because the blue strand is about 15 inches longer, is hanging on this side. So I'm going to pull this so that the white strands are equal on the ends over here, pretty much like that. So what you'll do from here, you'll come up, you will tie one knot, pull it. You don't want to pull it all the way to the nail, because if you do, it's going to be very hard to get it off after you make it. So you tie one, tie the second knot, make sure that you're getting it tight, and then after you do this, a good rule of thumb, this side is the side that has the blue equaling the same length of the white. So generally I'll make a knot in this side just so that it doesn't get confused with the other strands. So then I'll separate this blue, which is the longer side of the blue, twist this very tightly, and after you get this pretty tight, what you want to do is, taking your middle finger, wrap it around your middle finger so that your index is still up here. And what I'm going to do is, going through the braiding motion, taking it around my index finger and looping it through. Then you pull this up here, up to where the knot is, pull it tight. Now for this first set up here, you're going to do, if you're making it the Ashkenazi way, to do the 39, then you're going to do 13, 11, 8, 7. If you're doing it the Sephardic way, 10, 5, 6, 5. Me personally, I like doing it the Ashkenazi way, if you can title it that, because it spells out YHWH, so that's why I prefer doing it this way. Because I don't have angst in my heart. However you want to take that. Okay, so that's number 2. Three. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. Oops. 11. 12. 13. All right. So now what you want to do from this point is you're going to separate this out, and that's why I said it's good to have a knot on this side, because otherwise all of the strands would be getting intertwined and you wouldn't know what side is what. So you want to separate that out like this. So the side that has the knot, keep that one to the side. Take this blue strand with the other group of threads, and then you tie 2 more knots. Pull them very tight up. All right. And then you got those 2 knots. Separate out this blue thread again. And pretty much go through the same process. You gotta just pull these tight. Separate this out. And definitely, I would like to thank my aunt, Amana, who has been a very good help in the walk. And if it was not for her, I would not know how to make these. So, Amana, may the Most High merit you with this. And for all those who make them, I really thank her for this. All right, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Excuse me. All right, so separate these out again. And do 2 more knots. And once you really get a good rhythm of doing this, it's really, really relaxing, something to do. I really enjoy doing this, taking out some time. All right. Now this is going to be 8. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. And we got 1 more to go through. All right. Do the 2 more knots. tight. Right, separate out that blue. Make sure, always wrap it around your middle finger so your index is free. Alright. Now this one you gotta have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now you can see I have about, maybe about 6 inches or so to spare. But I still have 2 more knots to make. But you want to make sure that this blue is long enough, because you don't want to get this far down in your Tzitzit and realize you don't have enough blue to finish. And by chance, let's say that does happen, you never want to throw Tzitzits in the trash, because let's think about what the Tzitzit means. This is 613 commandments, you remembering the Most High's Torah, and regardless of what way you bind it, whether it's the 10-5-6-5 or the 13-11-8-7, it has the Most High's name in it. So you don't want to throw something like that in the trash. So even when you do wear out your Tzitzits, just as a rule of thumb, when the threads on the bottom, start to split, and they start to split pretty far up, and it, starts to look kind of unorganized, don't throw them away. Bury them in the ground, or you could just keep them, or you could use them as bookmarks. Just some ideas, but do not throw them in the trash. All right. Now here's your last 2 knots. All right. And then I'll take this knot out that I made in the other strands. Take this off, and now you have the Tzitzit, which still needs to be cut. Now, generally what I'll do, because I already have another one over here, I'll measure it up accordingly to that, by the knots. I'll put where these 2 knots, the top knots are, and then from where they hang down, I'll measure it out. And for those that do not have another Tzitzit to measure it according to, the Tzitzit from the top knot from all the way up here at the top of the loop unto the bottom of where the white will be, should be 12 inches. As you can see, should be 12 inches. I also cut mine so that, as you can see with this, the blue strand is 2 inches hanging past the white. So what I'll do from here is the one very small blue strand that's hanging like this, I'll just go on ahead and snip this, put that to the side. This long blue strand I will put up here so that I don't have to worry about it getting in the way and me cutting it. Then I'll pretty much just line this up right about here. cut these. So now I have a Tzitzit with a very long blue, and then I'll take my good old ruler, measure 2 inches past the white, and I'll cut that off. So here you have one Tzitzit of a set of 4. Alright, so Kol Yisrael, that's how you make Tzitzits. The ruling behind the Tzitzits, why they're made like they're made. Kol Yisrael, let's turn back into the forever ways. Let's start making and wearing Tzitzits so that we can have the Most High's name on us, so that we can have the 613 commandments on us, so that we can fulfill the fullness of this mitzvah, wearing it on a 4-corner garment. And another good thing that I will mention just came to mind. When you're putting your Tzitzits on in the morning, whether you have a Tallit Katan or not, when you're putting them on in the morning, there's a petition that you should say before you put them on. And that petition is Baruch atah YHWH Elohenu Melek asher Kidshanu bo Mitzwatau Utzivanu al Mitzwa Tzitzit, which means, benevolent are you, YHWH our Elohim, King of the universe, who has sanctified us with his commandments and commanded us in regards of the commandment of the Tzitzit. So this is the fullness of what we should do, Yisrael. Let's continue to turn back into the forever ways. Let's continue to keep the mitzvahs of the Most High, to keep the Mitzwat. Let's turn back, Israel, and continue to embody the Torah and the fullness thereof. So I just want to end this video with Hallelujah. Our honor, praise do be to the Most High, always and forever. And continue to rise, Israel. The nation is growing. The nation is building. Let's continue to take it in full stride and continue to make growth. Hallelujah. Shalom, shalom.